Hallo und willkommen zurück zu Pillars of Eternity. Wir sind in Dyrford Village und werden nichts tun, außer mit dieser Grieving Mother zu reden, wenn das möglich ist. Ah, okay.
Perhaps a little rest is in order.
A word, traveler. I only require a moment. Das ist diese, aus der Beta das Ding, aus der Bäcker-Beta. Nicht, dass ich die gespielt habe, aber ich habe halt so viele Videos gesehen, wo die immer hier oben an der Brücke starten, runterlaufen, hier eine Gruppe ummetzeln und dann da oben nochmal eine Gruppe angreifen oder so. So, der wir reden. House Herald Guard. The guard gives you an appraising eye. You've recently come to Dyrford, I take it. I don't suppose you saw a young elven noblewoman on the road. I'm stuck in this wretched place with the rest of my unit until we find her. Who is she? Lady Alice, he bites his lip. She's the daughter of Lord Nestor Herond, and she is gone missing, he sighs. Perhaps you could go speak with Lord Herond at the inn. He'll be grateful for assistance, and it could be the villagers will open up to you if more than they have to us. Wollen wir nicht. Rumballt. The woman looks briefly through you as if she doesn't know you're there, Grieving Mother. This middle-aged woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped down to her knees. Her hands are working at separating stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads of the long fibrous stems with a paring knife. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. Excuse me? The woman doesn't respond. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with a steady rhythm. She may be deaf. There's no indication she heard you. Study the woman. At first glance, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman, unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seem more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. Yet, you suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetable before her any longer. She's weaving, and the vegetable pots are now missing. She still pays you no mind. Her brown locks torn and snagged from lack of washing. Like many of the townsfolk you've seen, there's a strange blur to her. Even the motions of her hands seem to be playing with threads that lack color, in shape that lacks interest. It may be that she's half-minded or deaf, but something feels wrong. As you watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence, and you have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what your eyes are showing you. Focus on the woman. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands. As you follow the streams of her locks downwards, the hairs become long and black, splitting off into threads of black and silver, and wrapping around her hands. She is forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of you, each finger long and sharp, like a series of knitting needles. Almost hypnotic. The silver and black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing it. And suddenly you are calm. You are on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table lying beneath a clear sky, and beneath the plateau surrounding it in all directions a forest, hazy with mist. Although, whether it is actual mist or distance or a recollection. Resting in the curve of a natural arc above you is a great copper bell, half gain the size of a man hanging at attention, as if looking down on you and the event unfolding before you. The plateau has soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around you. You feel different, not disembodied, but you feel your body, your physical contours have changed along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene against color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts, like most roiling softly into a sealed chamber, and the chime coaxes you deeper into the memory, and you're certain it is a memory, a warm one. You are on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground, silver white, shimmering like adra. The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You can feel the heat on your skin, your wrists and your hands. Your hands are in motion. Weaving, not thread but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Barath's wheel. Your hands are wet. Your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child, and you can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in your grip. Its head slick, wet from the womb. Moment. The flesh of a newborn. Okay. The hands you are wearing inhabiting have done this many times, and they are practiced and confident. You can feel distant pains in your own head as the head emerges, a stream of fluid from the womb helping the newborn slide forth, in the woman's labored breathing, crying out. Focus on the child, the movement of your hands. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting through the haze of memory. You cannot see where they are coming from, but they are close, and they are meant as comfort. Of that you are certain. Draw the child forth. And coaxed with your hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again. Almost eagerly the child comes forth, and as it does, your hands are in motion, weaving, moving along the length of a soft, wet rope. No, an umbilical cord from the legs of the naked woman before you. You are holding a small child, still wet from the womb before you. The child cries out, its cry full of life, full of soul, the ringing of chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges, as if you are viewing a soul, from within a soul, but it is there, it is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and at her first cry, her hands reach out for it. Surrender the child. You surrender the child to her, something you have done many times before, and as your hands move, the chimes echo the movement, and you realize the chimes are hanging from the cords on your wrists, and where once they echoed in the memory, they are now echoing in the child's mind as well. The chimes are intended to welcome the child, to be its first gentle greeting unto the world, a soothing sound guided by the tender motions of your wrists. You are helping to weave its thoughts, its perceptions, and the experience. The woman laughs with wrecked joy, laughing from a parched throat. Her motions seem soothed, but the physical demands of labor have left her exhausted. But the child is here. The child is safe, and all atop the plateau is peaceful calm, distant flattering out as the memory persists. Slowly pull back, retreat from a memory. With effort, the scene bleeds of color, and your mind becomes your own again. There is no pull, no anchor. Yet the sound of the chimes remain. As they existed in the memory, they sound here as well, and they are hanging from woven braids on the wrists of the woman before you. Even as your head is spinning from the touch of her mind, the sound of her chimes on her wrists are sharp and clear, as if coaxing you back to the real world. The woman still sits before you, but she is nothing like what you first saw. She is wearing black, shredded garments that drape over her form like streamers. Her hair is streaks of black and run through with silver. Her age is almost impossible to tell. She simply feels old, like a crumbled watch over. As she lifts her head to face you, you see that her hair is draped across the front of her face like a veil. What you first saw of her was a mental glamour of some sort, unconscious, and you realize what you see is not what the world sees, and you are perhaps the first to see her true self. Still, you don't sense a threat in the realization. If anything, you feel a sense of relief from the figure. You can hear her thoughts, and she's glad to at least be seen. Who are you?
I am seen, but the eyes of others do not remember. You were the first to see me as I am, the call stripped aside.
Die kann sprechen. There's a light touch on your mind, a caress, and her left hand mirrors the motion of the touch, reaching up to the air between you. You hear the chime on her wrist sound softly. Her hand moves as if pantomiming, keine Ahnung, resting on your cheek at a distance. And she speaks softly and slowly.
Your memories. A cadence of wheels on a caravan track. Fever. Questions by running water. Violence in a night's campfire. Arrows in the dark. And fleeing. Falling rock and cracking stone. And a storm. The storm.
Das hört sich irgendwie so an, als wenn die ein schlechtes Mikro benutzt haben oder die hat eine sehr feuchte Aussprache. Da ist nämlich das hört sich sehr, weiß nicht, kaputt an.
The storm that brushed you. Did its screaming wake you from your mind's cradle? Your memory of it is painful. Its cry is difficult to ignore. It's like a child. Many children crying out.
I encountered a bivouac. Yes, and it did something to me. We were attacked in the woods as we were on our way to Gilded Whale. Be cautious what you read in my mind without my leave. What happened between us? Encountered a sound. Did something. Also, her hand withdraws shyly, the chime sounding softly once again. The woman stands uncertainly, as if she has been sitting for some time, or is too weak to bear her own weight. You notice her cheekbones are tight, her face gaunt, yet while her stance is weak, she seems determined to stand before you.
You are able to see me.
It is almost a question. You suddenly realize she doesn't seem to know what you saw when you looked at her. The image on the plateau, yet the image was so clear, so sharp, you are surprised she didn't feel you there.
To see me is a rare gift. A watcher's gift.
Ah, als Cypher könnte man noch was anderes machen. I've never been able to do that with a living person, except with you.
So many questions. Thoughts whirling like storm winds. That storm still roars through you, deep beneath your thoughts, yet muted and secret, like an underground river. I cannot tell if it is carving new channels, or eroding what keeps your true strength buried. The fact that you could hear it at all, survive it, is something few have ever done. Your power will grow stronger with each soul you touch, as it allowed you to reach out to mine.
There is a silence, and although it seems to last for but a heartbeat, in your thoughts it stretches out between the two of you, like a pull between your minds. You blink, take a breath, and then you realize she wants to ask you a question, yet can't form the words, as if assembling them is painful, or there simply are not enough pieces. Assemble the thought, do you wish to travel with me? You feel a wave of fear, gusted with the strength of relief, although oddly her expectation does not change. Then fear dissipates, and you feel strength and certainty, as if the plateau from a memory lies beneath you, and a calm sky looks down upon you. Mhm. Dann würde ich sagen, fliegt die wieder raus, nehmen wir den rein. Die. Accept. Plum. Glückwunsch. Learn of the Grieving Mother's past. When I first encountered the Grieving Mother on the road, I experienced a dream, or was it a memory of childbirth? Perhaps the Grieving Mother herself can explain what I saw. Dann...
Ready.
Ding, ling, ling.
Your mind comes bearing questions, Watcher.
I had questions for you. Let your mind speak for you. I shall listen past the words. You addressed me as Watcher when we met. Do you know what a Watcher is? There's a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she is going to fade from your vision, as if she can't bear to be seen.
The title came unbidden. I do not know why I spoke of it. Yet it seemed the right mantle, a familiar one.
Yet I do not know from where it came, if I have given offense. Oddly enough, it feels like she's not speaking to you. It feels like she's speaking to an audience. The air takes on a curious edge, a chill which persists for a sharp moment, then fades into a dull fear. If I have given offense, forgive me, forgive me. You would know more than I. Have you encountered Watchers before? I do not know. It is an old feeling. I do not know where it stems from. It was a word that arose when you saw me. It is said Watchers see much that others do not, and I have been hidden from the eyes of others for some time. Let me ask you about something else. If I have answers, I will share them. How is it no one can see you?
Their eyes see me, but their minds will not remember past the call.
A call?
My face is like the call of a newborn, hiding the face beneath. And for my body, I am able to wrap myself as a mother cradling her child. I am here, as you see me, but to them, their eyes see only the cloak that I wear, a peasant mother, dirty, shabby, not worth knowing. As a Watcher, you see more than others. To the eyes of most, I am as unseen as the spirits you share memories with.
I divert the flow of their senses down a different path, to a place easily forgotten. It is not unwelcome when one does not desire the presence of others. The surface of their minds register a figure, but the memory slips away. They see a woman, but there is no desire for conversation, no desire for any questions, and I have none to ask. I want to discuss something different. Was war das andere? Why are you afraid? I do not know. It is an old feeling. I do not know where it stems from. It was a word that arose when you saw me. It is said Watchers see much more than others see much that others do not, and I have been hidden from eyes for some time. Okay. Glaube ich schon. So, when we first met, how was I able to enter your dream?
I do not know. What do you speak of? If you were in my thoughts, I could not feel your presence, nor do I know what you saw there.
As she speaks, you suddenly feel an odd sensation in your mind, as if walking in her thoughts would be as if walking down a back street on a merchant stalls. The claustrophobia of wooden shelves and canvas tarps made less oppressive by the sheer number of enticing vials and bottles that stretch out to the sides of you. You suddenly realize that whether she permits it or not, you could enter her dream and observe it without her ever knowing. And in response, your hand twitches. There is the feeling that you could simply pick up a vial, taste it, sample it, and keep the memory as your own. And suddenly you find yourself back in your present thoughts. Though you were away for but a moment, she seems unaware of your diversion of thought. It may be one of your gifts, an ability to walk in memories as easily as someone walks upon the ground. May I try again? You feel her slowly nod, though she makes no motion. My mind is open to you as it was before when we met. I could not stop you if I wished. As long as you don't mind, if I try, I shall do so. Können wir wahrscheinlich beides. Machen wir das hier. My memory is not as it was, much has been forgotten. If you would walk in my thoughts, I have nothing hidden. Her thoughts feel strangely apologetic and welcoming, both at once. Perhaps you may learn something that will strengthen you, or a clue to what has caused this terrible burning of the fields of souls and halted Barrow's wheel. Her mind gives way, your passage almost unnoticed as you enter her as before, circling the memory you shared when you first met. And suddenly you are calm. You are on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table lying beneath a clear sky, and beneath the plateau surrounding it in all directions a forest, hazy with mist, although whether it is actual mist or a distance or a recollection. Resting in the curve of a natural arc above you is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on you and the events unfolding before you. The plateau has soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around you. You feel different, not disembodied, but you feel your body. Your physical contours have changed along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes, and the scene gains color and texture as if the sound is becoming you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts like a mouse rolling softly into the sealed chamber, and the chime coaxes you deeper into the memory, and you are certain it is a memory, a warm one. You are on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground. Silver, white, shimmering like ardor, the plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You can feel the heat on your skin, your wrist, and your hands. Your hands are in motion, weaving, not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Barroth's wheel. Your hands are wet, your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child, and you can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in your grip, its head slick, wet from the womb. Ist dasselbe wie vorher auch? With effort, the scene bleeds of color, and your mind becomes your own again. The grieving mother stands silently before you. She seems unaware of what you've seen, that you have entered your memories at all. I walked again in your dreams, thoughts, and I believe your memories. A mixture of curiosity and fear wells up between you. She raises her left hand, the chiming at her wrists quelling the rise within her. She is frightened, but curiosity anchors her.
And what did you see in my memories? I would hear you speak of them.
The dream. The memory I saw upon meeting you. It was you helping give birth to a child. There's silence, and as your breath falls still, you hear the faint cry of a child in distance, a newborn child, almost exactly like what you heard in the dream. As you listen, the grieving mother raises both her hands as if weaving, her wrists chiming as she does so, in a semblance of the gentle turning she provided while the newborn was crowning. To your surprise, you recognize the motions and the words from the memory, even as they are new to you. As she weaves her hands through the air in front of her, the child cries grow still, yet the sound of the chimes weaves almost hypnotically into your thoughts. The sky seems sharp and clear, and you feel as if you are towering over your surroundings, as if kneeling atop of a great pillar, just as she did in the memory. To your surprise, the grieving mother falls as if her strings were cut, and her knees crack and hard against the ground. Her hands never cease moving in the air, the chimes echoing her movements. In a ragged voice, you hear her speak. The voice is that of a much older woman than the one before you, harsh, almost desperate.
Tell me what you saw. Show me what you saw. Where were you?
A mountain edge, I think. It was high up. Snow, I think. She leans back as if looking back at the sky, but her eyes are closed, the film building on them. With a slow intake of breath, you feel time become quiet around you. I do not feel the memory. I do not know if it is mine, but her hair falls across her features again like the veil, and she nods, not with her chin, but a push in her mind. But thank you for trying. I want to talk about the birth memory again. I have to recall it. There's silence, and as your breath falls still, you hear the fan... Bla bla bla. Müssen wir wahrscheinlich die richtigen Sachen durchklicken.
Tell me what you saw.
War anscheinend falsch.
Show me what you saw. Where were you?
Beneath the great rock. As she kneels before you on the ground, she whispers to you, hoarsely and even fainter with the distance between we.
The stone of the plateau. Its color. Tell me its color.
Okay. Das war also eben die zweite Option. Silver Adra was a plateau of granite carved into a tower. Surface warmed by the sun. As you watch her hands rise before her, she claps them, then cups them, as if feeling them for the first time, and she stares down into the cradle of her hands, and the chimes sound once, twice, as they swing with the movement.
And what did these hands hold?
They held as a mother while she gave birth painfully. I'm not sure. There was a child you were bringing forth, and your hands? I don't recall. They held a mother while she gave birth painfully. She leans back as if looking back at the sky, but her eyes are closed, the film building on them. With a slow intake of breath, you feel time become quiet around you. I do not feel the memory, bla bla bla. Okay, dann machen wir das nochmal. Bla 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 bla.
Tell me what you saw.
Forest.
The stone of the plateau.
Ja.
And what did these hands hold?
The same chimes you hold now. She leans back after looking blah blah blah. I feel time become quiet around you. I do not feel... Okay.
Tell me what you... The stone of the plateau. And what did these hands hold?
I'm not sure. There was a child you were bringing forth, and your hands I do not recall. There's a sudden intake of breath, and then a release. Her eyes blur closed, forming into slits, but in the brief glimpse you have of her changing expression, the rippling pain in her features seem to have smoothed. She swallows once, twice, and then you feel her once again in your thoughts. The rasping husks of her voice swallowed and drawn within her.
It was the birthing bell you saw. Has it been so long? Have I forgotten so much?
With the words comes a river of impulses, thoughts, as if loosed from a breaking dam. And as your mind wraps the impulses into words, you realize it is her muscles and her hardened thoughts relaxing and breathing again. There's such an intensity, you almost want to step back from the flow, but you find the wave of impulses cause questions to float the surface. Among them is a name, Watcher. What is the birthing bell?
It is a plateau formed of the spirit stone Audra. At its top is set a great bell, cradled in the reaching arm of the plateau. It stirs in the wind, and it sounds for leagues when struck by kith hands. In distant times, the great bell served as a Glanfathan watchtower, perhaps. Why they abandoned it, I do not know. Other men came in time, settlers, and claimed the tower as their own. I, in turn, claimed it from them. The pillar became a cradle where I could draw new souls into the world.
In memory, were you helping a woman give birth?
Yes. Yet, I believe you only saw a small part of the birthing ritual. It is not all in a moment, nor in a day. It is a journey of many years between the child, the mother, and I.
There was much I could do to aid the mother. Some sought the physical comforts of a ritual to steady their thoughts, even Adra from the bell. Others would seek advice, words of counsel for the days ahead. I was able to provide draughts, tinctures, and the reading of the child's spirit, all to strengthen the mother. Can you tell me about the birthing ritual?
The ritual was one of many steps. It took many tens of years to carve them. But always the child's thoughts were there to guide me, from the moment it began to awaken, to the 3 seasons within the mother, to the birthing day, and the years to follow. The child's thoughts, that is where it began. The expectant mother, I could often sense her thoughts, and those of her child, before she could. I would soothe her, free her from the panic of questions. I would sound the memory of the birthing bell atop the plateau in her mind, letting the memory of the vibrations fill my thoughts and hers. Often, the child's soul could hear it too, so the sound of the bell echoed in the mother's thoughts.
You sense the mother's thoughts? Sharing memories and its thoughts can bond lives together, as can hardships, and most of all, the sharing of what is familiar. The bell itself provided shelter for such thoughts, opportunities to see deep into the crevice, hollows in the rock where one could find shelter, clefts where you could feel the Adra all around you. As she speaks, you feel your legs bent, crossed, and the warmth of walls around you, and blankets woven thick beneath you. Such shared images can bond souls even tighter, and allow them to draw strength from each other. You mentioned the ritual lasted years. What would happen after the birth? Once the pain is channeled away, and the mother and child breathe again, I sound the birthing bells on my wrists and allow the mother to hear the child's thoughts, the ringing echoing in each other's thoughts. The bells open the way between them, let their feelings pass into the newborn, and let her feel the child in return. And when the feelings met, that is when I weave another memory and leave it tied in their minds. These bells play an important role in the birthing process? Yes, and for years after, I gave a set to the child after delivery. It is a reminder of the memory the mother and child shared. You feel an odd sensation, a warmth, and you can feel a smile being shared. Then it flickers, and it is gone. As the bells coax the child forth, so they can accompany the child onwards, fastened about the wrists, to care for him, in mind and body. There is no magic in it except the magic of practicality. If a child sought to leave their cradles or escape their cribs, the mother could know through the warning of the chimes alone. At times, if the bond was strong, so would I. The sensation of a smile comes again, slower, more knowing between you. If not watched children, much trouble may be had from tiny hands. The chimes are kept until the child needs them no longer. When I no longer can hear them sounding in my mind and know their spirit has changed and their bonds were shared are long gone. This shedding may last many years, or but a few, but it is necessary. You watched over these children for years after their births, Children are fragile things. Even the ties of blood and mind may not be enough. They must be watched, and even then the body may fail in the mind. But if watched, even the most sickly child may cling to life if determined enough, and many of their souls were tied to me. If a child's spirit failed, I could sound the chimes in their mind and grant them strength even from afar. It did not always serve, but it gave hope. It sounds like you've seen tragedy too. Enough to never wish to feel it again. In the times before the bell, children who died were cast upon the waters of the lake beyond the bell, sometimes while alive, if their paths and futures were deemed weak. It was a different time. Children were treated carelessly. Those times are past. I have other questions about the birthing bell. Ask what you will, I will provide with what answers I can. Why would you give a telling of a child's spirit?
Many would come seeking their child's future, or a reading into the child's past, the lives its soul is said to have lived.
There is a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she is going to fade from your vision, as if she can't bear to be seen, and there's a spike of fear alarm.
Such things are not mine to see. I meant no offense.
Oddly enough, it feels like she's not speaking to you. It feels like she's speaking to an audience. They are blah, so it's okay. You're frightened. Something about watchers. At the thought of watchers crosses your mind, you feel a sharp pain, stabbing, and the sudden burn of lashes across your back and shoulder, and then it's gone. And you feel the grieving mother before you, silent, almost fearful, worry.
I was something else, but because the title Watcher was cast on me, the word carried a weight I had neither earned nor deserved. The world seems filled with such titles. They distract, I think, from the actions of the person, from their strengths.
But if they came to you to read that, to tell them, well, did you believe you were a watcher?
The world has many corners, and in some corners the name Watcher is more known. It is an easier title than others, and at times it is easier to wear. Placing a title upon what is unknown can dispel the fear of it, and I did not fight it. I even believed it true, though I knew little of the ways of watchers. It even granted me strength. I was able to see the thoughts of others, shape them, and help guide souls. Watcher seemed enough, and the name seemed to matter little in the light of one's acts.
But if they came to you and read their child's souls, what did you tell them?
I drew upon the present. I felt the soul of the mother before me, and used that to tell the child's path, to give it a voice. If only the thoughts of the mother and the emotions that lie beneath were mine to impart. I did, and so I used that as the telling of their child's future.
What if it turned out to be untrue?
Futures fulfilled by one's own spirit are as strong as anything seen by another's eyes. And if one draws from the emotion of the mother, it matters only when harm is done. And their lives I knew well. I could weave their lives, their thoughts over time, to the mother, to the child, and once the child had been born, was sheltered, I could relax the threads of thought until the child could stand on its own.
So you shaped their thoughts, made their readings true.
This is my calling, to show them the life I see before them, and even greater, make them believe it.
Okay, das klingt jetzt schon so ein bisschen krankhaft, wenn die da ihre, ja, bei der Geburt hilft, dann die irgendwie connected und dann der Mutter irgendwas sagt, was sie aber eigentlich so nicht weiß und dann aber die Gedanken so manipuliert, dass das in Realität aufgeht. That is not what a watcher does. We do not shape minds, we see them as they are. So you twisted the mother's feelings for their children.
Even the most strongly worded tells may not be enough to save a child and allow it to be born. If I have the strength to strip away the stem of a mother's spite to expose kindness, weave nurturing from disdain and neglect, then that is my calling.
Klingt sinnvoll.
And with the weight of Watcher behind my thoughts, these tells gain strength. Strength I never possessed on my own. They believed. And what they believed became the truth. With each child that was set upon that path, the title of Watcher became stronger. You must understand, without such weight upon my words, many lives would have been lost, drowned, cast in the lake beyond the bell. Now the trail to the lake is lost and reclaimed by the forest, as was meant. A Watcher was not there to look over us, but it was a Watcher that saved them, and with a Watcher's strength, children were born, were cared for, and grew strong.
It's not reading its control.
What use is a frightened will when a spirit is at stake? Would you let the fears of a mother end her newborn's life? You felt it in the memory, the weight of it, the importance of the child's life. It was a memory we shared.
The memory, it's not the truth, is it? And suddenly, there's a rasping cry across your consciousness. She raises her hands and you see the chimes draped from them, yet they make no sound as she moves.
A greater good was done, and children were saved. It is a choice you may be forced to make one day, and when faced with it, you will make the same one.
When that happens, I will be making my own choice.
This choice is not yours to make, Watcher. You will do as the world needs, as its children need. It is greater than you and your twist of sight.
I want to discuss something different. I heard the name Watcher in your thoughts when you remembered the birthing bell. Why?
It is because I once believed I was one, and others believed I was one.
There's a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she's going to fade from your vision, as if she can't bear to be seen. What did you believe? You were a Watcher. The word has many corners and blah blah hatten wir schon. There is another name for someone with your abilities. I see the word cipher in your mind and see its meaning, although I did not train in such things. And the title feels more of a cloak the world casts on me and judges me for. It is curious how a title such as that can define one, and at times be the source of such emotion that comes from no one, but the voices of others. It is a curse of the world. Do you know anything about Watchers? I feel that they were once marked, hated. Such hate feels dimmed now. I can feel it. Other hatreds have risen for other titles, but they burned bright in the past. Now hates have shifted focus, and they may fall on the same again. Either you or I. Something else. More about you.
And I you. In asking, we reveal ourselves to each other.
Why are you called the Grieving Mother? The air seems to go still for a moment, and time stretches as it did before when the two of you first met. There's a wash of uncertainty from her mind, slowly shaping into questions that swirl and do not coalesce. Coalesce, was immer. She does not move. She seems paralyzed, as if you have just wrapped her in a cold blanket.
That is a question for you, not I. That is not my name, although if you wish to hang the title on me, I cannot stop you. Is that what you see when your eyes fall upon me?
So I named you? As a watcher, you may see what I do not, or your mind shapes the thoughts I project into a new meaning. There is truth in that title, but it is not all I am. So what do you grieve then? You must have felt it, seen it. It has many names as the pain it has caused. As the words take shape, they seem to tumble from her, and the wave is great, rushing into your mind. To your surprise, you feel as if you've been touched by the bivouac again, and behind it, cutting through the torrent like a knife, are the thoughts of the grieving mother. There's a wound cut across the belly of the world, a jagged knife that has stripped the stems from men and carved furrows across the wombs of women. There's much I have forgotten, but I feel the wound all around me. It will not let me rest, nor let me be. The children have gone silent, yet their voices may be heard again. Are you speaking of the Hollowborn? The word, there is slowness of thoughts, as if the word is being waited, accepted. It doesn't feel natural to her, you can sense it. Was once unknown to me, as was much of what unfolded in the outside world. When the curse came upon us, I thought it a smaller thing, a thing of communities and hearths. Her thoughts seemed to stumble, as if on weak legs. It was only when I walked did I feel it stretching out around me, in all the cracks of the world. Children have been cursed. I did not think it was something they caused, nor something deserved. That which is inside them has been torn away. I do not know how, but this wound must be stitched closed. The world bleeds forth from between a woman's legs. If this blood is not stemmed, the world will die and grow quiet. Do you know its cause? There is a desperation, a welling fear. You can almost feel her thoughts shivering, and you realize she is as lost as you are on the matter, and then a sudden sharp clarity. I shall know it through you. Your eyes will track the course, will find the path, and I will be beside you. There is no wound that cannot be healed, and if you are truly a watcher, then this wound may be seen for what it is. You saw me where I hid, for whoever hands have stilled the world, you shall see them too. And if there's no way to heal it, what then? What if sealing the wound causes more damage? I will be there, and you will do what must be done. You were given your sight so that you may watch the world, and you will tend it. The children shall have their voice again. If your will is weak, then I shall strengthen it. Lean upon me. You feel a weight in her words, as if her hands are on your shoulders. You feel the question in your mind lose their edge and become merry words. As I lean upon you, you shall be my eyes, as I shall be your hands when the time comes. What do you think of Dyrford and the Empire? Those titles are markings on a map, and channel people's minds in violent discrete directions. Such things are a threadbare blanket cast over the world where men and women seek more importance than simply being. How do you see the world then? The world is a field of souls tilled with Barath's wheel. The thought of cultures and territories do not concern me. The sowing and harvest of the field does. Barath's wheel has slowed, perhaps stopped altogether. Whatever words, titles, laws, and blades not devoted to carving away the harm or healing that wound holds little importance for me. There's something else I would like to know about you oder so. Klicken wir hier nochmal durch.
That is a question for you.
I wanted to know, can you tell me more about the birthing bell?
The birthing bell. It is where I could draw new souls into the world. I recall some of the memory of it through what you have seen, but not all.
Where is the birthing bell? The birthing bell lies deep in the great forest of the Dyrwood at the borders of Glenfarthing land surrounding it. Barely a town, not one you would find on any map, but it held an important place for those there, even if we were far from the beaten track. Small families tied like a knot, joined at the wrists in mind, in thought. All were welcomed, all had purpose. Let's continue joining for now. She clearly thought she was going to these women and their children a service, but she wasn't inclined to discuss the matter further at this moment. Perhaps she'll open up more, so a journey continue. Holla die Waldfee, das waren jetzt 50 Minuten.
Hi.
Das ist stehlen. Wollen wir nicht. Winfried's Arms and Armory. Mhm. Gehen wir mal rein, gucken, was er so hat.
Gods keep you.
A portly smiling man stands behind a warped wooden counter, polishing a buckler. He looks up. Haven't seen you before. Always glad to see a new face in town. The company is good for business, and chatter's good for the soul. That's what I always say. Anyhow, what can I do for you? Show me what you have for sale. What's been going on in Dyrwood? Oh, we are a quiet little town. Not much happens here, especially not since the legacy hit. People realized they couldn't have babies and just stopped trying altogether, and that takes a lot of the excitement out of the day-to-day, if you can believe it. Show me what you have for sale. The Hours of St. Rumbald. Annihilation, overbearing, accurate. Wie viel kostet denn das? 10.000! Crits can inflict prone. Na gut, dazu muss man natürlich auch erstmal critten. 12 Accuracy. Holla, die Waldfee. Und plus 5 zu Crit Damage Multiplier. Das ist auch mal krass. Teil Grass. Crits can inflict prone. Crits can... Okay, Accuracy. 1 Damage. Exceptional. Plus 1,8 Weapon Reach. Aber ich glaube, das ist das Normale von den Stäben. Ja. Grudgekeeper. Mhm. Aber auch gegen Stunt. Irritates Thorn. Plus 10 Accuracy and below 50%. Endurance, Damage and below 50%. Pff, hart. Mosquito. Rapier. Draining 20% of damage, restored as endurance. Angio Gambson. DR6. Speed 20%. Okay, fine. Athletics. Reflex. Voice of Mountain Top. Chanter Area Effect Bonus. Puh, auch gut. Der hat schon eine Menge Zeug. So, und mit dem noch? Ach, das ist hier so einer. Okay, da war jetzt nicht so wahnsinnig viel. Mhm. Ja, die Stadt werde ich mir später genau angucken. Wobei, das interessiert mich jetzt.
I'll see what I can find.
Found something.
Mhm. Schon ziemlich offensichtlich. Aber nichts Gescheites. Klingelingeling. Da können wir jetzt noch einen Blick drauf werfen. Fine Padded Armor, okay. Okay, erstmal ziemlicher Unsinn. Crossbow. Stealth. Aha. Meadow Volk. Background Midwife. Na, es wird wahrscheinlich hier Lore und Athletics oder sowas geben. Wahrscheinlich einfach nur zweimal Lore. Bin mir jetzt nicht ganz sicher, was Cypher normal kann. Ich meine, das wäre Stealth Mechanics normal gewesen. Talents, Draining Whip. Das ist dieses Soul, enhance the draining power of the Cypher's Soul Whip, regenerating focus more quickly. Biting Whip. The Cypher's Soul Whip bites deeper, granting bonus to damage. Aha. Stealth 3, Mechanics 4. Naja, ich nehme schon an, dass ich das dann mit dem ausbauen werden muss, quasi. Oder ich setze wirklich alles jetzt, wenn ich die dauerhaft in der Gruppe lasse, aber da muss ich mal gucken, ob die denn überhaupt dazu taugt. Dass ich die dann quasi zum Schlösserknacken benutze. Müsste man mal ausrechnen, was die genau für Dings hat. Aber gucken wir erstmal die Zauber an. Abilities. Ice Strike. Target blinded for 11 seconds. Dazed for 11 seconds. Fortitude und AOE alle geblendet. Klingt gut. Kostet 10 Fokus. Fighting Spirit. Weniger als 50 Endurance und damit bekommt man Accuracy und Damage einen Boost. Achso, das ist, weil die Mensch ist. Mind Blades. 15 Fokus. Range 10 Meter plus 10 Jump. Foe Target. Also er kriegt sofort einen Slash und alle anderen bekommen nochmal einen härteren Slash. Der klingt mal extrem gut. Mind Wave. Area Effect Base. Interrupt. Wirft die ganzen Gegner zu Boden, wie es aussieht. Target becomes the object of a concussive blast of psychic energy, suffering raw damage from the trauma. Characters in an additional area behind the target failing a fortune check are knocked prone from the blast. Phantom Foes. Da werden alle um das Ziel geflankt. Also als Flanked kriegen den Debuff. Recall Agony, das ist so ein gegen Bosse. 30% alles Schadens werden nochmal auf den Gegner gesetzt innerhalb von 13 Sekunden. Also das müssen schon riesige Gegner sein, sonst lohnt sich das nicht. Soul Rip ist dieser Standardangriff, womit die ihre Dings sammelt. Whisper of Treason. Target charmed for 11 seconds. Okay. Was hat die noch an Attributen? Might ist extrem wenig. Con. Ja. Dex. Ja, damit kann der eigentlich gar nichts anfangen mit Perception. Plus 7 Deflection, 14 Reflex. Das ist komplett sinnlos. Int. Area of Effects. Duration, ja. Also das hier ist mal komplett vermurkst. Na gut. Dann mache ich auch hier einen Schnitt. Dann geht's am nächsten Mal in die Stadt. Also bis dann.